Alex Hillary.
Yeah, so he is in his late 20s, as has been mentioned before, war correspondent during the Great War, worked underneath the great man, the Edward R. Murrow type of figure, although I imagine that journalism in the Great War was more like journalism was in Vietnam rather than in World War II, where it was, just like Edward R. Murrow up on top of the building getting, ducking from bombs, and instead they were like, in there with the troops on the front lines. Actively ducking and covering a whole shitload. And he is a nerd, and not in that he doesn't have social anxiety, he just has social lack of experience. Like he's, just been a workaholic his whole life, and minimal experience with women or social life, but very smart and brave. And fucking brave. And he's never used a weapon in his life, but he's very resourceful and knows how to make good decisions in a crisis. And upon returning, he got a job at the Times in the city, working the police beat. I'm glad this fits in well with what we're doing because like some of the things I was reading and watching before we started all of this were a book called Tokyo Vice. That's a nonfiction book written about an American that got a job working for the largest newspaper in Japan, and he wrote a book about the Yakuza because he was working the police beat. And so that was there's a lot of like great scenes in there where that actually happened, where he is like, there is a crime scene, there's been a murder, there's like police tape set up, and he knows something that the cops don't know, and so he is in another like adjacent area crawling through the bushes looking for the murder weapon. And then like in the book he's constantly talking about like parallel investigations that he is running and the police are running about the same stuff. And the interaction between well, are you going to tell me this? Are you going to tell me that? Like, when can we talk about this? And he does not want to interfere with any investigations that the police or law enforcement is running, of course. But he philosophically he really believes in America, and he believes that America can be a great force for good in the world, and that of paramount importance for our democracy to function is to have an informed populace, and that he is an idealist about informing the people about what's going on, and he doesn't. And while he's not trying to like I said, interfere with anything by like spilling too many beans, philosophically he thinks that there are too many secrets, and there are too many people keeping too many secrets, and that the public deserves to know a lot more than they do. Working for a, and of course the paper that he works for is much like the New York Times, and he might, therefore they have a global scope, and might therefore be sent away to, investigate things in other parts of the world. If that should come up. Right before our story begins, he has, he didn't attain any notoriety during the war, but he did, right before our story begins, he got his own first personal notoriety when he broke a big story about some event that had to do with one of you fine people, or perhaps multiples of you that we will, figure out as we go along. But yeah, so broke this huge story about some crazy event that, like giant robot style event that was, obvious to everybody, and nobody knew what was going on, and so he's just starting to get some credit for that. Any questions?
Preguntas?
Heidi covered a lot of it. So.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
sweet. Yeah, all right. And do we settle on Dave for a first name, or is
No.
what are we?
I wanted Simon is like my name, that I use for
You can't have Simon.
you
get Jester
I can't have
instead. You get Jester instead.
right because of Simon Jester. I don't know if anybody ever read The Moon is a Harsh Mistress, but but Simon Jester. There's a sentient computer named Mycroft Holmes in that book.
Oh, yeah.
That publishes dirty limericks designed to demoralize the enemy. under the name of Simon Jester. Yeah.
So when we were talking last night, and he said, "It's like my name has to be Simon," and I was like, "You can't have Simon."
Okay, Jester. Have his last name be Jester.
I was like, "His last name has to be Jester. Of course, it's Jester."
Ah, cool.
It's Simon, my name's gonna be Morgan McNulty, from Deborah Morgan from Dexter and McNulty from The Wire.
Nice.
I know.